You are listening to Still Within, where Stoic stories become your quiet companion through the night. Here, philosophy is not a dry collection of ideas, but a living presence, guiding you into calm, reminding you of your own strength, and offering you a place to rest inside yourself. So let the world soften around you. Allow the noise of the day to fall away. The obligations, the rushing, the expectations, they can all be set down, at least for now. With every breath, feel yourself stepping out of the chaos and into a slower rhythm, one that moves with the night. Picture yourself in a small Roman street long ago. The air is cool, carrying the faint smell of oil lamps and worn stone. The chatter of the marketplace has faded. The last footsteps are disappearing into the alleys. A door opens quietly, and through it we glimpse the modest dwelling of a man whose teachings would one day echo across centuries. This is the home of Epictetus. He was not a senator, not a wealthy merchant, not a man of possessions. He lived simply, renting a humble space with bare walls, a wooden bench, and a few essentials. And yet emperors would eventually seek his wisdom. Among the few objects he kept, there was a small lamp. It was not extravagant, just a source of steady light that guided him through the hours of darkness. To anyone else, it might have seemed insignificant. But one evening when Epictetus returned, he found the lamp gone, stolen, vanished into the shadows of the city. For many, such a discovery might stir anger or sorrow. To lose even a small thing can awaken feelings of violation, of unfairness. But Epictetus stood quietly in that dim room, noticing the absence of light. And instead of bitterness, he allowed a calm smile. He said simply, "Tomorrow I will buy a cheaper lamp, one less tempting for thieves." With those words, a lesson was born, not about the lamp itself, but about the weight we place on the things outside our control. Pause for a moment here. Imagine something of yours, an object, perhaps even a small one, that was once lost, broken, or taken. Think of the sharp sting it left, the way the mind held on to the unfairness. We've all felt it. Yet in truth, the pain was never in the thing itself. The pain was in our grip upon it. Epictetus understood this. He saw that if our peace depends on objects or on the behavior of others, then our peace will always be fragile. But if our peace rests inside, in the way we choose to see the world, then no thief can touch it. As you breathe slowly now, notice how that perspective begins to soften your own hold. The things of today, the delays, the frustrations, the disappointments, can be allowed to drift. They are like leaves in a current, floating away as the night deepens. And in their place, you are left with something much lighter, a space, an openness, an inner lamp that cannot be stolen. This is how our story begins, with the theft of a simple lamp, but also with the discovery of an enduring truth, that letting go is not loss, but freedom. Settle into that thought as the night embraces you, because as we continue, you will walk further into Epictetus's life. You will see how a man who once wore chains became freer than emperors, how simplicity became his shield, and how you too can rest in the same stillness tonight. Yet in this silence, something deeper is waiting. To understand why Epictetus could smile at the loss of a lamp, we must go back to the beginning of his life. Long before he became a philosopher, he was born into slavery. His very name, Epictetus, simply means acquired or owned. He was not given the dignity of a personal name. He was property. Imagine the streets of Rome in the 1st century, bustling, merciless, filled with luxury for the few and hardship for the many. In that world, Epictetus belonged to another man. He had no freedom, no rights, no possessions of his own. Every day, his time, his body, his future were not his to claim. And yet within this harsh reality, a different kind of freedom began to grow. Epictetus realized something profound. While his body could be commanded, his thoughts could not. His master could demand work, could impose suffering, could even inflict pain, but there was a realm untouched, a space no chains could reach, the mind. There is a story told of how he was once cruelly tortured. His master twisted his leg, ignoring his cries that it would break. Epictetus did not scream in rage or despair. Instead, with a calm acceptance, he said, "You will break it." And when it did snap, he simply added, "Did I not tell you?" From then on, he walked with a limp. But that limp became a symbol, not of weakness, but of endurance. His body bore the mark of cruelty, yet his spirit remained unbroken. Pause here. Think of the struggles in your own life. They may not be chains of iron, but perhaps they are the chains of expectation, of fear, of loss, How often do we believe our peace is stolen by circumstances? Epictetus teaches us that even in the darkest of conditions, there is a place no one can enter without our consent. This realization became the foundation of his philosophy, that freedom is not granted by society, nor taken away by misfortune. It lives in the choices we make in each moment, in how we respond, in what we choose to value. Years later, when he gained his freedom, Epictetus chose not to chase wealth or comfort. Instead, he chose a life of teaching, of guiding others toward the same inner strength that had carried him through slavery. He taught that while we cannot control the world, we can control ourselves, our judgments, our desires, our attachments. And so, when a thief stole his lamp, Epictetus did not see loss. He saw confirmation. The lamp was never truly his. What was his, what could never be stolen, was his ability to remain at peace. Think about your own lamp. Not just the physical ones in your home, but the things you cling to, the job title, the praise of others, the possessions that give a fleeting sense of worth. How often do these become the sources of anxiety? Because they can be taken. Epictetus invites us to place our peace elsewhere, to hold lightly, to let go. As the night continues, let this truth settle in you. What you truly own, what is truly yours, cannot be broken, cannot be stolen. It rests in the calm center of your being, untouched by the shifting world. Yet this is only part of his journey, for while Epictetus learned endurance in hardship, he also learned joy in simplicity, and in that joy lies the heart of tonight's story. To understand why Epictetus could smile at the loss of a lamp, we must go back to the beginning of his life. Long before he became a philosopher, long before emperors and senators sought his wisdom, he was simply a child born into chains. He entered the world not as a citizen, not as a free man, but as a slave. His very name, Epictetus, did not mean strong or noble or beloved. It meant simply acquired, a word used for property, for something owned. That was how the world saw him, not as a person with dignity, but as an object to be commanded. Imagine the streets of Rome in the 1st century. They were crowded, filled with the smells of bread, smoke, and sweat. Merchants called out their prices, soldiers marched in formation, wealthy families were carried through in litters. But behind the marble facades there was another Rome, one built on the backs of slaves. Millions of people like Epictetus lived not for themselves but for the will of another. And so his early life was marked by hardship. He was denied choices most of us take for granted. He did not choose his work. He did not choose his rest. He did not even own his body. Every hour belonged to someone else. Yet in this world of confinement, Epictetus began to discover a hidden freedom. He realized something that many who were outwardly free had never seen. That while his body could be controlled, his mind could not. A master could command his hands, his feet, his labor, but there was a part of him that no one could chain. The way he thought, the way he judged, the meaning he gave to what happened. There is a story told of the cruelty he endured. His master, in a fit of anger, twisted his leg, ignoring Epictetus's calm warning that it would break. And when it finally did, when the bone snapped, Epictetus did not scream curses. He did not beg. He simply said with quiet acceptance, "Did I not tell you?" From that day on, he walked with a limp. For many, that limp would have been a mark of shame. For Epictetus, it became a reminder that the body can be bent, broken, scarred, but the spirit can remain untouchable. His leg was a symbol not of weakness but of endurance, of a man who understood that real freedom does not depend on physical chains but on inner strength. Pause here for a moment. Think of the struggles in your own life. They may not be chains of iron, but perhaps they are chains of a different kind. The pressure to meet expectations, the weight of comparison, the grip of fear or worry. How often do you feel that your peace has been stolen by circumstances beyond your control? Epictetus would tell us that the world can place us in difficult situations, but it cannot dictate our response. It cannot decide the values we live by. Even in the harshest conditions, there is always a part of us that remains free. The choice of how we see, how we act, how we let events shape us, or not shape us at all. This realization became the foundation of his philosophy. Freedom, he taught, is not granted by governments or taken away by misfortune. It is not given by wealth, status, or possessions. True freedom is within. It is born in the discipline of choosing what matters and what does not, in deciding which battles are worth fighting, and which can be released with a quiet heart. When he eventually gained his freedom, Epictetus did not rush toward wealth or luxury. He did not chase the life that so many Romans believed would bring happiness. Instead, he chose simplicity. He chose teaching. He gathered students in a small room, and with nothing more than his voice and his presence, he passed on the wisdom forged in years of hardship. He told them, "You may not control what happens to you, but you control how you meet it. You may not own the world, but you own yourself." And so years later, when a thief stole his lamp, Epictetus did not see loss. He saw confirmation. The lamp was never truly his. What could never be stolen was his ability to remain calm, to smile, to let go. Think about your own lamps. Not just the ones that sit on tables, but the lamps of pride, of praise, of possessions. How often do we guard them, anxious they will be taken? How often do we tie our peace to things that cannot last? Epictetus invites us to hold them lightly, to see them for what they are. Temporary visitors, borrowed from the world for a time, destined one day to return to it. And so, when the night comes and the lamps go out, we are left with something deeper. The light within, the freedom that no thief can touch. This was Epictetus's gift to himself, and now it is his gift to us. But his story does not end here. Because alongside endurance and hardship, he discovered another treasure. The joy of simplicity, the richness of needing less. And that joy is what we will step into next. When Epictetus was finally freed from slavery, he did not rush into the life many Romans dreamed of. He had no hunger for grand villas, no longing for gold cups or feasts that stretched late into the night. Freedom for him was not an invitation to excess, but to clarity. He chose a life stripped down to its essence. His home was said to be modest, his possessions few. Students who visited were sometimes surprised by how little he owned. A bed, a cloak, a lamp, until, of course, even the lamp was stolen. To some, it looked like poverty. To Epictetus, it was wealth of the highest order, because he understood something most people never do. The fewer things you need, the freer you become. In Rome, many believed happiness came from having more. More money, more power, more honor. Yet with every new possession came anxiety. The fear of losing it. The need to guard it. The envy of others who had something greater still. Epictetus saw this endless chase not as freedom, but as another kind of slavery. A slavery of the mind. He turned his back on it. Not out of bitterness. Not because he could not have more, but because he knew that more would never satisfy. He chose to live lightly, to walk through the world with open hands instead of clenched fists. Picture his small room. Imagine it at night. The silence of the walls, the simple flicker of a flame, the worn blanket folded neatly at the corner of his bed. There was nothing luxurious, nothing impressive, yet within that space there was peace, a peace far richer than any banquet or palace could offer. He would tell his students, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." These were not empty words. They were the blueprint of his life. Every time he let go of something unnecessary, he gained something greater. Space, calm, freedom. Pause here and consider your own life. How many things have you worked for, saved for, longed for, only to discover that once you had them, they did not bring the peace you expected? How many times have you thought, if I only had this, then I would finally rest, yet the rest never arrived? Epictetus knew that peace does not come after acquiring the next thing. Peace comes when we realize that we already have enough, more than enough. A roof, a bed, a meal, a breath of air, a quiet moment to reflect. These are riches greater than all the treasures of Rome. And so when he lost his lamp, he did not despair. He simply replaced it with a cheaper one and smiled. What was a lamp compared to a tranquil mind? What was a stolen object compared to the serenity of knowing you could not be robbed of your true wealth, your character, your reason, your ability to live in harmony with nature? This is where Epictetus's life touches ours most deeply, because we live in a world filled with noise, with ads that whisper constantly, "Buy this, upgrade that, you are incomplete without more." And yet we find ourselves restless, endlessly scrolling, endlessly searching, never arriving at the peace that was promised. Epictetus calls to us across the centuries. He says, stop chasing, start noticing. You already hold the gift you seek. Think of the quiet joys you may have overlooked today, the warmth of sunlight across your face, the taste of water when you were thirsty, the laughter of someone you love, the simple safety of being alive in this very moment. These are the treasures no thief can steal. treasures that increase not by guarding but by noticing. It is no wonder that students flocked to Epictetus, hungry for his words. Many of them came from wealthy families burdened by gold but starved for peace. They listened, wide-eyed, as he told them that the path to freedom was not through having more but through needing less. And in that simplicity, he revealed the true power of philosophy, not as abstract debates in marble halls but as a daily practice, a way of living, a way of sleeping with a calm heart, waking without fear, walking lightly through the day. Perhaps tonight, as you prepare to rest, you can try on a little of this simplicity. Breathe deeply, feel the weight of the day falling away. For a moment, let go of the thought of what you still need, what you still lack, what tomorrow demands. Let yourself be here now with nothing more than your breath and the steady beating of your heart. For in this moment, you have enough. And in seeing that, you too touch the freedom Epictetus discovered, the richness of needing less. But his story was not only about possessions or poverty. It was about a larger truth that peace depends not on what you hold, but on what you are willing to release. And this lesson would become even clearer in the tale of the broken lamp itself. The story of the broken lamp begins simply, almost quietly. Epictetus owned a small lamp, nothing extravagant, just a tool to bring light to his modest room. In Rome, even a simple bronze lamp carried value. For someone with less, it was enough to tempt a thief. One night, someone stole it, perhaps a neighbor, perhaps a stranger passing through. Epictetus discovered it was gone, and what did he do? Did he shout? Did he chase? Did he feel violated, robbed of something that was his? No, he did none of these things. Instead, he responded in a way so calm, so disarming, that it has echoed across centuries. He said simply, "I have lost my lamp." But the thief has gained something far worse. He has become a thief. And then, without bitterness, he replaced the lamp with one of cheaper clay. No anger, no grudge, no sleepless nights rehearsing the unfairness of it all. Just acceptance. It is a small story, but within it lives a vast truth. The world can take from us what is external, but it cannot touch what is within, unless we give it permission. Epictetus understood that every possession comes with a silent risk, the risk of attachment. The moment we say, "This is mine, I cannot be without it," we hand a part of our peace to the outside world. For what can be given can also be taken. What is fragile can be broken. What is external can be stolen. But what rests within, our character, our reason, our virtue, remains untouchable. In this, Epictetus was not just teaching philosophy. He was teaching freedom. Imagine for a moment how different our own nights might feel if we carried this same outlook. How many times have you laid awake, turning over in your mind the loss of something you once held dear? A broken phone, a crashed car, a job that slipped away, a relationship that ended? Each time the mind insists, "I cannot live without it." Yet here you are, still breathing, still enduring, still capable of finding peace. Epictetus's broken lamp shows us that even when something is taken, life continues. What remains is more important than what is lost. It is easy to think of Stoicism as cold, as if it asks us to stop caring altogether. But that is not what Epictetus was teaching. He did not say the lamp was worthless. He did not pretend it was never stolen. He simply refused to let it steal his calm. There is a subtle strength in this kind of letting go. It is not indifference, but resilience, not denial, but clarity, to recognize that what is fragile belongs to the world, while what is unshakable belongs to you. Tonight, perhaps you too can think of your own broken lamp, something you once valued that slipped from your hands. Maybe it was small, maybe it was everything. At the time it felt unbearable. Yet here you are, listening, breathing, alive, stronger even than before. This is the quiet revolution of Stoicism, to live in such a way that nothing external has the power to destroy your peace. Pause for a moment. Breathe. Imagine holding something precious in your hand. Now imagine releasing it, not because it does not matter, but because you no longer need it to define your happiness. Feel the lightness in your palm as you let it go. This is what Epictetus practiced when he replaced his stolen lamp with one of clay. It was not loss, but liberation. He showed his students that true security comes not from guarding possessions, but from guarding the mind. For the thief could steal his lamp, but not his serenity. He could break an object, but not a soul. This story has endured because it resonates with something we all secretly know, that our deepest suffering rarely comes from what happens, but from the stories we tell ourselves about what happens. The thief did not steal Epictetus's peace, only the lamp. And Epictetus refused to write a story of tragedy around it. What story are you telling yourself tonight about your own broken lamps? Is it a story of loss, or could it become a story of freedom? When you shift the story, you shift your peace. And in that moment, you too live like Epictetus, light, unshaken, free. And yet the broken lamp is not only about loss. It points to something even deeper, the secret of control, of where it begins and where it ends. And that Epictetus would go on to teach with even greater clarity. When Epictetus spoke of the lamp, he was not just speaking of possessions. He was pointing to the central pillar of Stoicism, a truth so simple yet so often forgotten. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. And peace begins the moment we learn the difference. What belongs to us, our thoughts, our choices, our actions, these are ours, unshakable. The inner citadel that no thief, no storm, no empire can touch. What does not belong to us? Almost everything else. Wealth, health, reputation, the turning of fortune's wheel. Even the body itself, prone to sickness, aging, frailty, is only borrowed from nature and will one day be returned. Epictetus taught his students to sort every experience into these two categories. Is it up to me or not? If it was up to them, they were to act with courage, wisdom, and justice. If it was not, they were to release it as naturally as exhaling. This is where freedom lives. Most people, then and now, waste their lives wrestling with things outside their control. Angry at the weather, bitter about the past, anxious about what others think, fearful of the future. It is like trying to hold back the tide with bare hands, exhausting, impossible. Epictetus compared it to a voyage at sea. You may choose your ship, your crew, the way you set your sails. But once on the water, the winds and waves are not yours to command. You do what you can with what is given, and if a storm carries you elsewhere, you accept it. For the voyage is not about controlling the sea, it is about steering your own mind. Tonight, think about the weight you might be carrying. Perhaps you've been replaying a conversation, wishing you had said something different, or worrying over how others see you, or lying awake, planning outcomes you cannot guarantee. This is the burden of trying to control what is not yours, and it robs you of rest. But imagine setting it down. Imagine whispering to yourself, "This is not mine to carry." Feel the relief, the space it opens in your chest. That is the gift of Stoicism. Not the promise that life will bend to your will, but the promise that peace is possible even when it does not. Epictetus reminded his students, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus himself can overpower my will." His body could be chained, his possessions stolen, his health threatened, but his power to choose, to think rightly, to live with integrity remained untouchable. And in that power, he found absolute freedom. Consider your own life. What might change if you began each day with this question? What today is within my control and what is not? How many arguments would lose their sting? How many fears would soften? How much lighter would your steps feel? Letting go of control is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is seeing the world clearly. It is walking through life with open eyes, open hands, and an open heart. And in this letting go, something paradoxical happens. You discover a greater strength, a steadier courage, a deeper joy. Because when you stop clinging to what is not yours, you finally have the energy to live fully in what is. Epictetus showed his students that this distinction is not abstract. It is practical. It is how you speak to a friend, how you face an insult, how you meet the end of a long day. Do you spend your energy trying to control others? Or do you return to the only place where freedom waits? Your own mind, your own choices, your own heart. Tonight, as you settle deeper into rest, allow yourself to feel the difference. With each breath, release what is not yours. The opinions of others, the turning of fortune, the fears of tomorrow. And with each breath in, take hold of what is yours. Your patience, your courage, your gratitude, your ability to choose peace in this moment. This is the lesson of the broken lamp. It was never about clay or bronze. It was about learning to place your peace where no thief could reach it, about discovering that what truly belongs to you is enough. Always enough, and yet Epictetus's teaching does not end here. For there is still a deeper truth, one about the way loss itself can become a teacher, guiding us gently back to the essence of life. Loss is something we all fear. The loss of health, of security, of someone we love. And yet Epictetus reminds us that loss is woven into the fabric of life itself. Nothing we hold is truly permanent. Not our possessions, not our status, not even our bodies. All of it is on loan from nature, and all of it will one day return. The broken lamp was a small reminder of this truth. But Epictetus taught that every loss, great or small, carries within it the same lesson. Nothing external is truly ours, and the more we cling, the more we suffer when it slips away. He would tell his students to practice a quiet rehearsal of loss. Not to live in fear, but to live with clarity. When you kiss your child, he said, say to yourself, I am kissing a mortal. These words can sound harsh, even cold. But to Epictetus, they were not meant to dampen love, they were meant to deepen it. For when we remember the fragility of what we love more fiercely, more presently, without postponing affection for tomorrow. Loss, then, becomes a teacher of presence. It whispers, do not wait to live. Do not wait to love. Do not wait to be grateful. For everything you hold is here only for a time. Think of a sunset. Its beauty pierces us not because it lasts forever, but because it does not. The colors flare and fade, and precisely in their passing we feel wonder. Life is much the same. Its brevity is what makes it luminous. Epictetus believed that by facing loss with open eyes, we could transform fear into appreciation. A stolen lamp could remind us of the deeper wealth we still hold. The death of a loved one, though heavy, could remind us of the precious gift of love itself, the fact that we ever shared it at all. Even the awareness of our own mortality could sharpen our sense of what matters most, helping us to waste less time and cherish more moments. In this way, loss is not the end of peace, but its beginning. It is a clearing, an opening, a chance to return to what cannot be taken. Our character, our gratitude, our courage, our capacity to live this very moment fully. Consider your own life. What have you lost that once felt unbearable? Perhaps a job, a home, a friendship, or someone who shaped your days. At the time, it may have felt as though the ground itself had vanished beneath your feet. And yet, with time, life found a way forward. Perhaps even new joys, new strengths, new forms of beauty emerged that could never have come otherwise. Loss teaches resilience. It shows us that we are stronger than we imagined, that what is essential is never truly gone, that within the emptiness left behind, there is space for something new to grow. Tonight, as you rest, you might think of your own broken lamps, the things or people you have had to release. Let yourself grieve them if you must. Grief is natural, and Epictetus never denied its place, but alongside the grief, allow gratitude to take its seat. Gratitude that you ever held them, gratitude that life continues, gratitude that in loss itself, there is a hidden teacher. Breathe in and think of what remains. The steady rhythm of your heart, the air filling your lungs, the gift of awareness in this very moment. No thief can touch these. No time can erase them while you are here. And in them you find proof that even after loss, life still offers light. Epictetus's lamp was broken, but his peace was not. His possessions were few, but his wealth was vast. His losses were real, but his freedom remained untouched. This is the path he invites us to walk. Not a path without loss, but a path where loss itself becomes a guide, leading us inward, leading us home, and as we follow, we begin to see that serenity is not found in avoiding loss, but in learning to let go with grace, for in every ending there is also a beginning. In every fading light, the promise of another dawn. This truth carried Epictetus through his life, and it can carry us too. And with this we arrive at the closing reflection, the gentle call to turn inward, to rest, to return once more to the stillness within. And so, the story of the broken lamp comes to an end. A simple object stolen in the night, transformed into a timeless teaching. Epictetus did not cling, did not curse, did not lose his peace, he let go. And in that letting go, he showed us the way to freedom. What after all was the lesson? That peace does not depend on what we hold, but on what we can release. That true wealth is not measured in possessions, but in the calm of a mind unshaken. That loss, though painful, can guide us back to gratitude and presence. Tonight, as you lie in the quiet of your room, you might notice the objects around you. A lamp on the table, a phone beside your bed, the soft fabric of your blanket. Each one is useful, perhaps even cherished. But none is the source of your peace. They can be taken, broken, or lost. And still something deeper remains. That deeper thing is you, your breath, your awareness, your ability to choose calm even in the face of change. This is the flame no thief can steal, the light that burns quietly within you. Take a moment now to breathe with that awareness. Inhale slowly, feeling the rise of your chest.
Exhale, letting your body sink deeper into rest.
With every breath, you are reminded that peace is not something you must chase. It is here already in the simple act of being. Epictetus taught that philosophy is not an escape from life, but a way of meeting it with courage and clarity. The broken lamp was not an interruption of his peace. It was the practice of his peace. And this is the invitation his story carries to us. In your own life, you will face broken lamps. A disappointment, a loss, a moment when something you trusted is suddenly gone. When that moment comes, may you remember this story. May you smile gently as Epictetus did and say, "I have lost a lamp, but I have not lost myself." For what you truly are is untouchable. Not your things, not your status, not even your body, but your character, your reason, your heart. That is your fortress. That is your freedom. And so, as you drift toward sleep, let this thought cradle you. You need little to be free, less to be happy, and only this moment to be at peace. You are listening to Still Within, where Stoic stories become your companion through the night. If tonight's reflection has brought you calm, I invite you to carry it forward. By sharing it, by subscribing, by returning again when you seek rest. But more than that, I invite you to return always to yourself, to the stillness that lives quietly within. The lamp may break, the world may change, but the light of your inner calm will remain. Trust it, guard it, live by it. Now close your eyes, feel the weight of the day dissolving, breathe gently, and let go. For here in this moment you are whole, you are enough, you are still within.